How many people would be present?
Ma'am, they will be watching us on Facebook Live. This is a technical team. So here, no one would be able to join.
Okay, you are live now.
Okay, okay. Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we have scheduled a webinar on importance of hard soft skills, which has been organized by Applied Sciences and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce today's guest speaker, Iris Rana. She is a leadership, soft skill, and organizational cultural consultant. She does this through online courses, group coaching, articles, and tips that she publishes on social networks. She is also a consultant in organizational culture. She helps companies diagnose their culture and carry out the transformation they require. She has more than 25 years of experience as a human resource manager, consultant, and a teacher. As a teacher, she teaches courses on management skills, cultural transformation, and change management. Since 2009, she is the director of 3C Consultants in Corporate Culture and associate consultant of real-time management. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology with a master's degree in business administration and a master's degree in political science and international relations. Her aim is to help people on their pathway of always remaining employable and that people would achieve that precious balance between work and personal life. It's a privilege to welcome you, ma'am, on this platform.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Yes, and such a presentation. It's all right.
Yes, thank you for accepting our invitation, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start with the hard soft skills. And the title is because really soft skills doesn't merit really how hard they are to acquire and to have them. So they are in America, they say it's not a soft skill, it's a hard soft skill. Okay, I will pass. This is done already. Okay, so what soft skills are? A little bit of story to start with. The term soft skill was created by the US Army in the late 1960s as such, because many documents have talked about soft skills, but in another way, okay, since the beginning of our times. But as a term like this was created by the US Army. And it refers to any skill that does not employ the use of machinery. So all about machinery was considered like technical, and the other skills that were called soft skills were considered more administrative, more leadership, like they put all these other attributes that people have like soft skills because they couldn't name it. So the military realized that many important activities were included within this category of soft skills, and each day more categories were included. In fact, the social skills necessary to lead groups, motivate soldiers, and win wars were based on skills they had not yet cataloged or fully studied. So there was a time in the 70s that the military started to research under these soft skills. A soft skill, what it really is a soft skill, is a personal attribute, enhances an individual ability to get results. So is attributed to people that get, for example, a very special service that differentiates the average from the excellence. And this was called soft skills. So you can learn the hard skill to people equal, but at the end, one will be very nice to work with, will get more results, not only in the short, but in the longer period of time. And so what was this? And they name it this, sometimes soft competencies, behavioral competencies, and different names that we will see. Used as a synonym as people skills or emotional intelligence. You have heard, I guess, about emotional intelligence, and who made this name very well known was Daniel Golden, that is a psychologist that wrote about psychology, but in simple, like for everybody. And his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Matters Most Than IQ, has been a bestseller for many, many years. And this Daniel Goleman is considered like the father of emotional intelligence by this name. When I read the book back in 1996, was a brand new book. It was launched for the first time in 1995 and already was a bestseller. And when I read it, I said, what new is really bringing to me? And it was not much. As it was, emotional intelligence was what psychologists call maturity. The same definition and everything. So maybe for psychologists was not something really new, but for most of the people was another word, a new word that they came to see. And in simple, this is what I appreciate very much from the book, that is full psychology explained, like for dummies, like for someone that is not psychologist at all, and was very, very a big improve in understanding of the human behavior. Then hard skills, on the other side, describe a person's technical ability to perform a defined task. Whatever you say that is more technical, like IT, like a machinery, like a pilot, mathematics, finance, name it. But it doesn't tell you much about how the person will conduct their work. Soft skills are broadly applicable across job titles and industry. It means that it's like a cross attribute or a cross competence, because you can use it every time, everywhere, and it doesn't matter if you are a lawyer, if you are a finance person, if you are a psychologist, if you are a sociologist. You interact with people, and it helps you for you personally and for interacting with people and the way you do things. Okay? Is a way of differentiate what is a hard and a soft skill. While hard skills get you, this is something that a lot of people say, well, the hard skills get you to the interview because hard skills are easy to write down in the CV, in your curriculum, in your, and you can see it. I studied this profession. I worked as an HR manager for 16 years in this and this university, or in this and this company. Is like concrete, something that you are used to. You either you have the degree or either you don't. But it's a lot about the hard skills and the experience, what you put in the CV. And this CV will be chosen. When it is chosen, and then you go to an interview, it's more your soft skills that will help you really to get the job. So normally people will pick the CVs that have the hard skill, and then they go to see your soft skills during the interview. And also they can test for hard skills. It's easier than to test for soft skills. And also another saying is that you hire hard skills and you fire soft skills. It means that maybe you are an excellent IT person, you code, whatever, and you are hired because of this, but when you are in the company and the time passes, maybe you don't have all the criteria they expect from you, or maybe you don't have good leadership, or you are not a team player, like to be alone and don't construct together. So most of the time is due to the soft skills that you don't adapt or you don't match within a company. And so usually it is the cause of dismissing someone. So are they important really? Why are they important? And here I want to talk about a Harvard Business School conducted survey. They wanted to find out what is the correlation between success, basically, and skills. Yeah, what makes a person they research a great wealth creator. This was the objective of this research. Was it intelligence? So they measure the IQ, then good education, what kind of schools and grades you have, academic grades, yes, are you from the top 10? Are you from the lower part? Or maybe you come from a wealthy family and you had access to special education and another environment that set your mind for gold or something like that. Or it was hard work. And at the end, what they found can be summed up to soft skills. So it is important. There is a lot of research now that correlates soft skills with different kind of success, even with happiness, not only wealth, but happiness as well, well-being, etc., or leadership, okay? according to Harvard Business School, your technical skills contribute only to 15% of your success, while your soft skills would be responsible for the balance 85% of your success. So we can say, yes, it is important. It differentiates the excellence from an average or a poor performance. These are the most valued soft skills from Tech Target. So it's for technical people. What are the soft skills that are more valued at present? And this is taken from research from many companies around the world. What companies are requiring. So very important, confidence. So to be confident in yourself, in your knowledge. And something that is one of the most difficult things to acquire, really. Another thing, time management is one of the most difficult aspects, and especially for the IT people have problems with time management. Because what they say is that many are required, they need a lot of concentration to work in IT and to code and to repair or whatever. And what happened that they are called, they are interrupted, they are in an office with some interruptions, and it takes time to bring your mind out of what you are doing and concentrating and switch it to another task or to concentrate in one person that is coming to talk to you or whatever, and then switch back. And this is very tiring, very difficult, very tiring. And also because the IT, in many people, the IT job is like bringing support to other people in the office. And so they are called here and there and here and there all the time, and they need to be very good at time management. Then self-management skills, that is, how do you behave yourself and how do you behave when you feel tired or when you are hungry, when you are affected by some bad feeling. So how do you behave on those circumstances? So self-management skills are very, very important. Then when they have found is friendliness and manners, so that you are an educated person in the sense of your manners, the way you approach people. Although it will vary from culture to culture, in the culture you are applying to the job, it may be different from another. So this ability to move and adapt to different cultures and be friendly, someone nice that people want to work with you is very important. Then ambition, especially in the sense of wanting to do more, to get more, not staying in your comfort zone all the time, but moving to new comfort zones. Then that you are able to focus, so you can prioritize and you can focus on what is really important and keep your focus there, don't distract too much. It's related to time management in a way, but it's more of productivity, that you can really concentrate in one topic until the end. Then common sense, that the least attribute for people is sometimes common sense, But common sense is difficult to acquire because you learn to have common sense. You can learn all of these attributes, but it's not easy. It's not easy. You need to be very aware, no? Situational aware. So you need to understand your context, understand the people that surrounds you, understand the type of situation you are in to be more tactful and know what to say, what not to say, what is not proper. And this is a lot of skills together, no? That starting with confidence in yourself, in what you see, listening to yourself, no? What is your inside saying, and then understanding the situation and the people. So situational awareness, you can acquire it with a lot of experience, but experience from which you have really learned. But then enthusiasm and optimism, if you are positive, if you see the opportunity in the change or in the difficulties, and you look for things to build, to construct, instead of get stuck in the problem, okay? And finally, the 10th, empathy. So your ability to see the world from other people's mind, to put yourself on their shoes or understand their perspective. Because it's easy to understand our perspective, but what is really difficult is to understand what is making this other person see the world in the way they are seeing, and understand what they are seeing. And this is one of the most difficult competence or soft skills that you can talk to. Okay, so if there are, of course, there are much more soft skills. I have brought 10 of the most valued for from the company side. If there are questions, I will be pleased to answer. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so what is behind emotional intelligence? And this is what Daniel Goleman explains. So what really is the emotional intelligence? And he talked about 5 characteristics or attributes from the people. One, and the most important, self-awareness. This is the cornerstone of all emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, as I told you, is kind of equivalent to soft skills. I see soft skills are like a brother. But many people say that they are synonyms. So whatever it is, they are very similar, okay? So self-awareness is one of the most important, or I would say the most important soft skill, because it talks about how you understand yourself, how much you know yourself, how much you are connected to yourself, and you can feel the things, you can put in your mind your feelings, and you can realize how much what you are feeling and listen to yourself. This is the very first, the core of all the emotional intelligence and soft skills. Then I would like to take the self-regulation. So it's not only that you understand yourself and connect with your feelings, but it also that you can control them. So if you are angry, you don't go there and shout everybody. You just calm down and think and see the problem and look for a solution instead of shouting and screaming or whatever. You can self-regulate, not only controlling your madness, let's say, but also saying the appropriate things that you should say in a conversation. So you tune in with the other person and you have empathy to understand the other person, understand what you are feeling, yeah, and then look for the best way to say things. And this is also self-regulation. We will talk a bit more about this because it's very, very important. So I talk about self-awareness with self-regulation. This is the self part. Then the empathy to understand the others. Then the social skills that are to interact with the others. And self-motivation. So that you don't need to do things only based in what other people is rewarding you or is asking to do, but you yourself have a logic and you yourself motivate you to do the things. So the motivation is inside you and not in the hands of others. When motivation is in the hands of others, you become very dependent on others. And then you're more of a puppet than a mature person. So Daniel Goleman talked about these 5 attributes in the book Emotional Intelligence. Okay. Sorry. And here, let's see a bit more. I like this model. This is from, I forgot to bring emotional intelligence, but I have this emotional intelligence 2.0 that I like very much from Travis Bradbury and Jean Reeves. It's a book that talks about a way, give you a method to develop your soft skills and your emotional intelligence. And they split it into 4 parts, okay? First, what is you with yourself? That we've talked a bit about this, self-awareness and self-management. So this is you with yourself. No? And self-awareness imply also a self-assessment. So how much I know really myself, how much I can see myself from other point of view, from other people's eyes. And it's not easy, but you can get it by, for example, you can have a formal evaluation, psychology evaluation. You can ask for feedback. So what people tell you, you can go and ask your best friends, your family. So people that will feel comfortable to tell you things and say, please give me my 3 strongest things, no? Or attribute what you've seen very strong in me. And also the 3 or 2 things that I should be concerned about and I should be trying to improve. And you go around, even you can ask this to your boss, to your teacher, to your whatever, and listen very carefully without any defensive attitude and write it down. And then you can ask them as well, if you don't understand that very well, you can ask them for examples. No, they tell you, you're very strong with time management. Oh, okay, great. could you give me an example of what takes you to say this? And if you write it down and you read it, you will start understanding. And in the moment you are doing this, if it is something strong or something weak, and you will start relating you with your actions, your behaviors, and understanding much better about you. And this is when you know yourself much better, you start being more confident. You don't need to be perfect to be confident. You need to know yourself and know your strengths and your weaknesses. And this is what will help you very much to increase your confidence. So I've said several ways to know yourself, and my suggestion is use all of them. Every time you have this test to assess yourself, use them. Every time you can ask for feedback, ask. And you will see how you improve. At the beginning, it could be a bit hard to know, start knowing you, but then you will feel relief because you are not blind anymore, and you really know the extension of your strength and what you should be cautious about, that is your weakness, and what can you improve a bit more, that is your weakness. But at the end, we have success based on our strength and not on our weaknesses. So knowing your strength is using them, and using them is reaching success. Okay, then I talk about self-management. So is self-control, transparency as well. So you don't need to be hiding all the time. You can, with your confidence and your self-awareness, you can be you, okay? Then self-management in your achievements, or what you work for, something in your objectives. So for example, discipline has a lot to do with self-management, okay? Because the discipline is in you. If you expect somebody to discipline you like a kid, it means you don't have a self-management, or not very high, let's say, because you need somebody to wake you up, somebody to ask you for the report, somebody to remind you that you have a due date, etc. Then adaptability, the way you adapt to new circumstances, the way you adapt to change, that is hugely important in management or in working in companies, especially with the amount and the exponential change that we are living in, not only due to the pandemic, but also due to the climate, due to finances, the war. Everything is changing. I don't know if you in India experience or feel this huge change in the world, but not only in the world, because it have consequences in your job, in inflation, in many things. And you need to be adapting all the time to drastic changes. So adaptability is something very, very important. And the more confident you are in yourself, the more you need. Oh, we are with the time. I finished this and that's it. Sorry. So then you have the social correlation, that is knowing the other, starting to understand the other, to be a good listener, organizational awareness, all what is around you. And of course, the one that is sitting on all the others, that is your ability to influence, inspirational leadership, coach and mentor, conflict management, teamwork, and collaboration. So I want to finish with practicing EQ. okay, emotional coefficient, to increase your EQ. And it's very important that you ask yourself, how am I feeling now in this moment? Do you have an answer? Do you know how you are feeling? What options do I have? So not only get stuck with one way of seeing things, but finding more options everywhere. And was it truly important to me? So define what is important to you. You cannot gain or succeed in all the battles, but important thing is that you are the champion in this war. So these are 3 things that you can start asking to yourself, and it will lead to an increase in your soft skills. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. I hope it has been interesting for you, and you can find me in LinkedIn and in my web page whenever you want. And you can, well, I speak English, so I can answer you anything in English. And I will be very glad to have you within my friends and my followers in LinkedIn that I work there. I try to post every day something that can inspire you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for this beautiful presentation.
Well, I hope it's useful.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. It will be helpful towards students as well as faculties. Yes. So, yeah. According to you, you talked about social skills, right? In one of your presentation slides.
in social,
Skills.
yeah.
So, how can it be helpful to us, ma'am? Social skills means what?
Social skills are the part of this relationship management. Yeah. So is in what way you can sense what is happening around you, have a good look of what is going on, and then react appropriately. So if you are very, very important in companies, if you are a seller, if you are a manager, or if you work in multicultural environments, this is very important.
Okay, so social skills are helpful in that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So
It's another way people talk about soft skills, but are specifically soft skills related to your environment, to your social life.
Yeah, fine. You're also talking about transparency in self-management, right? So how transparency in what way would be helpful for self-management?
In transparency, the idea is that you can be you. So I mean, it's very stressful to try not to be you because you are not confident in yourself, you don't know yourself, and you are afraid to, let's say, screw up a relationship. So you are not being you. And people at the end notice it, and you put a barrier between you and the other person. And so the idea is that being you, you have good relations, not by lying or not by faking to be what you are not, because it's very stressful, this. So it's the idea of transparency in this sense.
But sometimes it happens that, madam, if we are very too straightforward, then it is also harmful at workplace, right?
Sorry, I couldn't understand.
Yes, sometimes it happens that at workplace, if we are very straightforward, right? Or we are very transparent at our workplace, then it is also not beneficial at some point of time.
Yeah, but being you, you can choose the best way to behave, or you can choose the best way to say something, okay? But not because you are lying, but because you are being tactful. So it's different to be tactful than to fake. Okay? When you fake, you are not being you. But when you are tactful, you may say the same thing, but being you. Okay? So being transparent not necessarily means to be blunt all the time, because sometimes you cannot be blunt. But you are convinced that you need to say certain things and not certain others. So you may not be blunt like a knife, let's say, no,
Yes.
with everything, but you can be tactful and still be transparent. You don't need to say it all, or you don't need to say it in certain ways. I don't know if you see the difference.
Yes, yes, obviously. uh, so in relationship management, you were talking about change catalyst, right? So can you elaborate that word, that is change catalyst?
Yes. Depending on your role in the company, you may have different ways to be a change catalyst. Especially in leadership, you need to all the time stretch your team. No, have a good working environment in which every person wants to go beyond, wants to give this extra mile, wants to dare to bring their ideas. And so it goes for you. If you are an individual contributor, it's very important that you dare to say things, that you don't keep everything to yourself like a very shy person that says nothing, no, because they are so frightened that I better say nothing, I don't risk a bit. But the idea is that you go beyond that. And when you are developing the professional skills of your people, you are also helping with a change and improvement. And depending if you work in innovation or things like that, it will be a very important skill to develop. How do I help my people, my team, or even myself to go beyond that, to have creativity, to be innovative. And this is very important. The soft skills are very important when you work in innovation.
Okay.
Do I answer this?
Yes, 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 ma'am. It was quite understandable. Yes. So if there are multiple deadlines to meet, right? Then how we can complete our task in easier way?
Could you repeat the first part?
If there are if we have multiple deadlines to meet, right? Sometimes it happens at our workplace that there are multiple deadlines which we have to complete in a specific time. Fine.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, how we can complete the task, and we cannot have stress on others as well as on our. It will not affect our health also, right?
Okay. Time management is very important. And time management is not only manage your time really, but it's more about managing your activities. And all the time being strategic in the sense that you can prioritize and you can decide what you are going to do first, what you are going to do second, what you need to delegate or ask for help, and what you are not going to do. That is the most difficult part. So being in control of your activities, knowing how long they will take, actually doing them, is very important. Is beyond time management. Is being productive. I would say is being productive, and it's something that you can learn. Definitely, my first ever course in online that I sell in Udemy is about being productive, strategically productive, because you can do a lot of things and be proactive, be productive, but if you are not reaching your goals or your deadlines, you cannot say you get the results. So it's not only about being productive and doing a lot of things or doing the right things, but also always align with what you want to get from there, and your objectives. And a deadline is an objective that you need to comply with. So it's a bit more than just time management.
Okay. Okay, one last question, ma'am, from our end. How can we explain new topics to the co-workers which are unfamiliar with them?
Could you repeat? Sorry.
Yes, how can we explain the new topics to the co-workers which have newly joined, right, in our workplace? So how we can easily explain the topics to them?
I'm not sure how, as a society, how much you know about emotional intelligence. Let's say here is something that everybody talks about, but I'm not sure. But I think what I have said in this presentation can help. The best way, I think, is like in a training. So not only to every new person explain them what it is from zero, but to have like a little course that every new person in the company or every new student should see, like the theory and how it works. I would say this is much better because it's not something that you can explain that easy. Then you can go, when you talk with the person, you give feedback to anybody and you talk about their strength and their weaknesses. Then it's very important to give a good feedback. For me, it's something that every manager should be very good at, because with the feedback is the tool really in a company. And I don't mean the yearly feedback or that you fill the forms. I don't mean that. I mean the everyday feedback, the one that you do as a manager to your team, and especially the new people, and you say you make an agreement with them about what the person is doing very good and what is not doing very good. So in a day-to-day basis, you can improve a lot, and learn a lot from your manager or an older person in the company. And I think this is a leadership obligation, should be mandatory. Yes, I train a lot leaders, and I tell you, leaders are not really prepared to feedback their people. So they even don't know why they are feeling like this or why they are failing, or they don't know. They just said, you need to get this done. And the person is not reaching. No, but sometimes the managers have one person, then another person, then another person. And if nobody is reaching the results, something is going wrong. So this kind of analysis and working together is very important so that your people learn a lot and increase their emotional intelligence.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think we will end this question and answer session here. And yes, the presentation will be very fruitful to our students as well as faculty. And thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your valuable time,
Okay.
accepting our invitation.
If possible, then you send me the link to see it, okay?
Okay, sure, ma'am, sure. We will share with you. And
Okay.
I will like to thank the head of our department, Mr. Hemal Patel, sir, the HR of our institute, Dr. Jatin Vaidya, sir, and the president of our university, Dr. Devanshu Patel, sir, for motivating and supporting us continuously for conducting this webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.